there, and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Jamie Jones Irvin. Today's episode is centered around travel sports, AAU and other travel sports after the final whistle. We're going to engage with some parents to hear what is life like after the final whistle, after the final tumble, after the ball stops dribbling. We're going to figure out, where do we find ourselves? How do we identify? Because such a large part of our every weekend is tied into that. We're going to ask the hard questions. On the other side, was the juice always worth the squeeze? What are some things you would do differently? What are some things you would do better? And what are some things you would leave just the same? Well, I'm not sure which way the conversation will go, but whichever way it goes, I know that you are in for a treat. So come on, let's talk about it. So tonight, I am here with Jerzelle Pierre-Louis, Belinda Goss, Kimberly Baird, and Dana Moulton. And these ladies are on the other side of AAU. The final whistle has blown, the final ball has dribbled, the final tumble has been taken. So, ladies, I'm going to do a round robin. Jerzelle, which sports were you a travel mom for?
I was a travel mom for basketball.
Boys and girls?
No, for boys basketball and girls, well, volleyball, girls volleyball.
Okay. And how many years has it been since the last whistle blew for you?
It's been about 4 years now. Solomon stopped playing his sophomore year in college.
Okay. Yeah, because you're still traveling, even though it may not be quote unquote AAU, you're still traveling collegiately, which is a whole nother conversation that I know at least three of you
Yes.
have experienced. Maybe all four. Kim, did your baby do college too?
Sports?
Uh-huh.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
She debated for that whole first year because her
Yeah.
AAU coach was Transy's coach. So she just kind of was the team manager deciding. And then sophomore year, she just said, I won't do it.
And which sport was this?
Volleyball.
Yes, this is for our audience. I know, I remember, but this is for our audience. So volleyball. And how many years has it been for you?
Officially stopped when she graduated, so 21.
21. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Belinda, you had a lot of them.
Yes, a lot.
So which sports?
Well, basketball
Mhm.
is where we traveled. Um, I have four children. They all played collegiately,
Yeah.
and Harrison, my son, actually didn't play collegiately, but he played AAU
Yep.
in basketball. hmm
And Kiara is the baby.
Kira. Yes,
Or the youngest. I'm not trying to get
yes,
canceled. And the before I even get started, you know what I'm saying?
right.
How she graduated, she's a senior in college now, right?
She's actually in her second year of grad school.
How did I miss that? Like, y'all were just
Yes.
here. I felt like,
Yeah.
weren't y'all just here?
Yeah. Well, she played, she got an extra year to
Okay.
play in 2025 because of COVID. So,
Because of COVID. Okay.
yeah. So
Wonderful.
she
Yes.
started her master's program. Yeah.
Okay. So yours is just about a year or so.
Yes.
Okay. So really new. And Dana, the same for you. Tell us about your children, their sports, and how long it's been for you.
So my daughter Gabby, well, she graduated high school in 2023 and did club volleyball, but she now is collegiate. So she's a junior collegiate volleyball player. So we've got one more year still for her. My son, good gracious, he did a lot. So he did travel soccer up until eighth grade. Did AAU basketball till he graduated last year, and then there's no travel football, but he football was his primary, and he retired from that last year when he graduated from high school. He chose not to play collegiately, so it hasn't been a year yet. I'm not coming up. I'm not a year with him, and I'm still going with my daughter.
And you're still going with Gabby. So I wanna jump in on that. I'm still in the throes of it. We have a tournament this weekend, so but with uh, and I know collegiately you travel, I get that, but the dynamics behind it are different, right?
Absolutely.
You know,
Yes,
I'm
absolutely.
right because part of my hunt is a scholarship. You have
Right.
that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
Right.
um,
Right.
so the you brought up that your scholar athlete did travel soccer until eighth grade. Did anyone else start traveling prior to high school? Show of hands. Travel
Um,
ball
higher to high school.
Yeah,
prior.
Um,
definitely.
yeah, she played
Definitely.
in sixth grade, but we weren't really traveling.
You weren't traveling, so you
I don't
started.
think. Well, don't get me lying. I take that back. Well, we were probably in middle school. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
Totally.
will you text Joe and ask him so that we can get the accurate data, please?
He won't know. She will know. He won't know. He just
Well,
drove the car.
text my baby,
Right.
and ask her. She'll tell me.
Yeah,
Um,
Right.
we traveled with Christian, I mean, starting in third grade, we were traveling for soccer.
okay.
And then Gabby started traveling for volleyball in fifth grade.
Wow. What about you, ladies? Do you remember how early you started?
We started in middle school, between sixth and seventh grade is when we started traveling. Unfortunately, prior to that, Solomon wasn't good enough to be on anyone's team. So it took some time for us to make it to that level.
Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
Belinda?
And we started traveling when Bria was fifth grade.
Wow.
So she's, yeah. So she was, of course, she played on all kind of community teams before then, but to actually travel from state to state, she was fifth grade.
Okay. Well, we didn't, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm still in it. We didn't start traveling till high school. I
Okay.
boycotted. I boycotted. I was like, now on the other side of it, I'm not gonna say I wish we would have started earlier. I am at a point where I say I understand why people do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I do. But it is, as you know, because if no other reason, you have more time to really figure out the right fit.
Mhm.
See, starting in
Yes.
high school, we have 3 years of it. His freshman year, sophomore year, now his junior. This is it, right? So we
Right.
only have 3 years to kind of
Yeah.
figure out the
Right.
right fit, and etc. But this isn't my story. So sticking solely to the travel sports before the collegiate era, what was that first season like for you afterwards? How was the quiet? Did you go through a grieving process? Tell me about it.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it's real fresh for me. I mean, it's really, really fresh for me because it just happened. It's like going from 60 to zero, like in an instant. You go from moving, so many different moving pieces, trying to figure out hotels, trying to figure out travel, trying to figure out, all the things, and then it's just nothing. Your
Wow,
weekends,
yeah.
your weekends are yours. You have nothing to coordinate. It's like it's just space, silent space.
Silent space, that's good. And because again, even if when your children participated collegiately, it was in season. The whole thing about the travel ball before college, right, is it's after the season. Like for me, I have 1 month out of the 12, and that's August, where I can possibly have some level of not doing something, and even then we should probably be doing you know what I mean? It's so
yeah.
what about, so I can relate a little bit to that, or can I can relate. I haven't experienced it, but I can relate to that. What say you, Giselle or Belinda? What about you?
Well, for us, it was very quiet. We found ourselves attending other kids' AAU games
Yeah, yeah,
Facts,
because we were so
facts.
used to the rhythm
yeah.
of
Yeah.
AAU and high school basketball. So it took us about a year or two to
Wow.
settle down and say, okay, we don't have to go to such and such a basketball game. Maybe we should stay home. It's
Nice.
it's a little overkill.
Okay. And Belinda, I
Yeah.
think you were going to chime in.
Yes. So it's sort of new, but it's a little different experience because my husband was an AAU coach. So
That's right. That's right.
he didn't stop coaching when the kids went off to college. He just retired from coaching maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
So we still travel around and still had to work out hotels and do all of that. Um, so it's a little bit different, not, in that sense. He's a coach, and he
Gotcha.
continued to coach. So it's a little different, but it was a little bit quiet because I don't have to deal with anyone else's children, and so I'm just going there really just to support him. So that is a difference, and I did feel a little bit of like sadness.
I hear
It's
you
a little
saying that.
different.
I hear you saying that, there was a pining. I hear you all saying there was a bit of grieving.
Hmm.
Giselle, you mentioned rediscovering yourselves. So, ladies, tell me about that. What are some of the ways you rediscovered yourself, and what's something, tell me, just throw it in here. What's something you rediscovered, meaning it was already there, right? And you kind of went back to it. You started knitting again. I don't know. And what's something that you discovered? Wow, I never knit before. I think I like this. What did you learn about you post the whistle?
Now I can say mine was I don't have time to rediscover. So similarly, when she was traveling and traveling and traveling and every weekend and we're going and going and going and you all know all of that. So and then even trying to figure out if she was going to play in college because her college coach was like, I've seen you play, you can come on. But she was like, well, I don't know, what kind of work situation would be. So we're still mentally trying to figure out, are you going to play? Are you going to play? Are you going to play? And so it didn't, I did not feel the 0 to 60 immediately because we were still kind of in that mode. So then it would just be one day you're sitting there and you were like, oh, it's Saturday. Well, I don't have to go anywhere today. Or it's like, look at
Yeah.
this. And it was odd. So when I had a couple of those Saturdays built up, and then I realized, oh, okay, well, my friends have been hanging out over here. Now I can go back to this friend group because now I have weekends back, or I can attend whatever with, whomever's asked me because I'm now here. So it was just kind of like this, well, look at that, kind of a feel to it. Like, I don't have anywhere to go this weekend. It was very odd. It was very, very odd when this kind of epiphany happened. Now I haven't, I should say, I also maybe rediscovered that I need to rest because I'm really bad about that. And so
Mhm.
when I have a weekend and I'm not doing anything, I'm trying to get rid of that guilt that,
Yes, yes,
I have a lot of guilt. Like, it's okay to just sit in my pajamas all day.
it
So
really is
those are the two things that are happening, even though it's been a little bit of time that I'm still kind of, you know,
processing.
enjoying. Hmm.
Anybody else?
Well, I think I discovered that I never really have taken any time out for myself,
Ooh,
because at some point all of my kids were playing sports,
right.
and so it was one weekend I'm in Kentucky for football, and because my son played football, and as well as basketball. So I never really took the time, for myself. So when I have all of this extra time for myself, and it's like, what I'm trying to discover what I like at this
Okay.
point in my life. So
Okay.
yeah, so
That's
I'm in
good.
that process right now, just trying to discover who I am. So
Oh, nice, 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 nice. Okay. All right. So one of the things that segues to is when we're traveling, right? Especially when it's a repeat team. So, it's your second, third year on this team, and you all pick up some tournaments that really aren't even on the schedule. You just kind of it becomes almost, remember play dates when our children were younger, and you sign them up for
mhm.
Gymboree, a little gym or whatever, and you wind up being, friends with these people.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that. These I mean, you travel together. You're doing each other's laundry. You're making sure, hey, I have extra laundry pods.
Mhm.
All of the things. And when it ends, So, Kim, you talked about being able to reconnect with your existing friends. Did anybody else, were you able to do that? Did you struggle in that space? Did you realize that you maybe had changed? And I mean, just how was that? How was the re-entry for you into adult social life?
Well, for me, I had missed a couple of girls' retreats
Mm.
because I was working around a travel schedule. And so once things quieted down, I was able to attend and I was like, well, this is nice. And then I recognized that our vacations were also scheduled around, AAU ball. And so that's something else we
Absolutely.
adjusted.
Mhm.
Um, but then for the friends that we made throughout this process, we still I would say once every 6 months, we'll go out as a collective to dinner. And so we've maintained those relationships with some of the people that we've met along the way.
Mhm.
That's fun to be able to do, and I think that will provide a level of, if you will, hope for some of our listeners who might still be in the season. There are those of us who, like for me, and I'm sure Belinda, this is some of your truth, Dana, probably yours too. Everybody's not in my city.
Mhm.
Everybody on my team, you know what I'm saying? But that's super. That I love that you're still able. So we're social media friends, right? Because this year
Yeah.
we are on a different team this year. And so I've asked the old team, make sure I have the schedule. If we're at the same tournament, I'll try to get over and cheer the team on. So that's good
Yeah.
that you stayed. What do Girl Scouts say? Make new friends, but keep the old one as silver and others gold. So yay, yay for you having double medal. That's amazing. Let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. It is an investment.
Amen.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Amen. hmm
it
Don't think
it
about it. Don't think about it too hard.
you
That's right.
cannot.
That's
I
right.
mean, it is, and I say I'm trying to stick with the word investment because there's a return, right? Because other than
Maybe.
that, it's just
Maybe.
Yeah, right.
it's a well, then
Maybe.
it's a hell of expense then. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, and the return isn't always going to be a scholarship. The return isn't always going to be professional plays. Sometimes the return is things that you learn about yourself traveling with one another. We were in Boston last summer. I mean, you girl, airplane, y'all know we all over the place. So we're in Boston, and they got the pin on say, and he sweats like he is out there in the field picking all types of cotton, and then then they send him home, and they're like, "Yeah, bring the pennies back," and we're like, "Okay, cool," because I now know to travel with a roll of quarters, and I travel with pods and all of those things. Well, the hotel we stayed didn't have a washer dryer. Every hotel doesn't. We know that. And
Yeah.
because I flew in, yak, 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 we didn't rent a car. Because other than that, I drive. I literally, I'm sure you've done it too. You Google where's a washateria.
Yeah.
I taught my son how to wash clothes in the sink. Like he didn't know that before. I was like, "Don't worry about it, son. We can do that." I put in the sink and I put shampoo in there, and he's looking at me like I was a magical. I rolled it in the towel to dry it. I took the hair dryer. And he
hmm
was like, Dad was right. I should marry a smart woman. Yeah, marry somebody who knows how to wash a penny in the sink, dog. I mean, that's a pretty low bar. Okay. But so all of the return, right, won't be the scholarships. But as you look back, I don't want to ask you, was it worth it? And the reason I won't ask that is because everybody on this call I have a personal relationship with, and I trust you as intelligent women. Okay. And if when anything stops being worth it, you stop doing it. So the fact that you continue to do it, you found some value in it. So the way I want to go into this questioning is tell me what your return was. How was it worth it to you?
I think the first thing that made it worth it to me was number one, the time spent with my kids.
Hmm.
Because, we kind of got into the sports thing because, I was a working parent. My husband was a working traveling parent. And we worried about the time that we would have to spend with them just with our jobs. So putting them into sports really allowed, and then we started to travel, that was 3 days where you're locked and loaded. Like you said,
Yeah.
there you might need to wash clothes in a sink. You might not have a refrigerator or a microwave in your room. And how are you going to get all the, I remember laying out like towels and cutting up fruit on
Yes.
bath towels because you didn't want you to have a
Mhm.
table, and packing coolers with ice, and it was a family affair, right? So that was when we really bonded over those times. So I think that was
Right.
the first return on my investment there, but the other was the relationships that I made with the families.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
agree.
met some of the best people in youth sports, travel sports, and there were just times where you trauma bonded, right?
Yeah.
Fight break out at the
Yeah.
AAU game, and someone talks all messy to your friend, and you got to have her back, or
Yeah,
someone is not doing your kids right, and you all got to get together as den moms and protect your kids.
yeah,
You bond through those situations, right? Or coaches
Yeah.
doing your kid dirty, and
yeah, yeah.
you bond through
Yeah.
those things, and they're lifelong memories that you take going after the whistle.
I love it.
Yeah.
Anybody else? What are some of your takeaways?
Well, not well, besides the scholarships or the potential scholarships,
Right, right,
you
right,
would
right.
you they've taught our kids so much about other things other than basketball. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what's important to me because it has made them, I think it has helped to make them dependable. They know how to work with a team, and just things that you can't measure, that comes out in their personality now.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that it's from having to, you know, work together as a team,
Yeah,
and have a good relationship with your parents or maybe not, but you're there together.
yeah,
And we have spent, like our other guest said, we spent most of our vacations were AAU tournaments.
yep,
So yeah, it made us closer. It got a chance. They're in the car with us, so they have to talk to us. Oh, and we had some great conversation.
yes, yes, yes. Anybody else?
Hi. Well, and you've met Micaiah. For
Yes.
me, it was seeing her confidence building. When she was younger, she
Mhm.
would do some things, but she didn't always like to try things if she thought she wasn't going to do well. And
Okay.
so we kind of accidentally got into volleyball because I was telling her, you got to do something, sport, something. And she wasn't. And so volleyball was the very last tryout. And I said, sound like you're going to be on the volleyball team. So that's the only reason in sixth grade is how she got it. But she'd never seen it. She didn't know how to play it. And she didn't want to stick with it because she didn't feel confident knowing how to do it. And I said, well, you're not getting off of it. Stick with it. But once she learned it
Yeah.
and was, I mean, just a
Was
different
good.
child. And
Yeah,
so her
yeah,
confidence that I can learn this and I can build this and it's a challenge, and I'm mastering this challenge is what I saw. So then when she's doing that and also quiet as she was, but she's now building this friendship with these teams and these girls on this team. So that's building her confidence. So I just kind of watch her and even now, and I didn't necessarily, I mean, I kind of knew it then, but not necessarily. But now that I see her now, where she is confident in talking with teachers, like particularly about a grade, and she's like, I told them, and wow, I got that. We know building that confidence in that way, or speaking. And I was like, well, where did you learn to do that? She's just this blossoming that I saw there,
Yeah.
or even in choosing a major. Like she picked two or three of them out transy. One on was computer science. It was a challenge. And I said, well, you're not a computer science major. You didn't start. You can't. But it was a challenge for her that she can now master. And so
yeah.
she was like, nope, I'm sticking with it. And so that's what she's doing.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I,
Yeah.
I saw where it started and I now see where it ends. And so to me, it was all kinds of worth it.
I hear you all saying like the intangibles, like the things that
Yeah.
that's not on any brochure. Like they say your
Right.
child will get confidence,
Right.
but they don't, right? That's not on a brochure. And Dana, you're right. The whole trauma bonding and the learning, you're a pack. right? I mean, we walk in
Yeah.
here together, we sit
Right.
together, okay, I'm gonna go get some, hey, I'm gonna get food. Anybody want, you did that. I remember an episode that happened a couple of years ago. We're playing, and y'all know basketball is five people. In this particular tournament, we had six, and one went down.
Uh,
So we had to
Yeah.
finish the tournament with just the five.
5.
And so we are at the game before the championship game, and our player went up, and there was a collision, and you see all this blood just coming out, just coming out. The other player, the blood is coming from his face. So everybody's trying to figure out what the heck happened. The opposing team, his tooth went into our player's arm.
Oh boy.
Mm.
Ew.
Well, because I had learned travel with a first aid kit.
Right.
Yeah.
They literally shouted to me, "She can do it." So I put on my rubber gloves. I look like MASH. Do you remember the sitcom MASH? I went into surgery. I did a whole tourniquet on our player's arm.
Tourniquet.
Had I
Oh
had, I
my
mean, because
goodness.
it was a gash, and so I went in his arm and extracted the tooth and gave it to because y'all, it was surgery. I've done surgery. I'm putting it on my
Wow.
CV.
Very good. Very good. I'm proud of you.
He had to go get stitched. And in this kit, something I learned in playing sports was that you can get a tooth put back in. I didn't know that. If you get to the
Yeah.
hospital quickly enough, I was like, so he went in at it's just, but the trauma bond of that, we still laugh about it, for a couple of games. They call me Mom Doc, just the things that we learn about our children, the things that we learn about ourselves. I don't know if you all can relate to this. Did you learn how to communicate with your children in a stronger way?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of that was trial and error. I always joke with my daughter, her 16th year in volleyball was just it was awful. I mean, in terms of dealing with adversity and learning how to overcome obstacles, it was huge. And we were just at odds with each
Yeah.
other because, I'm trying to get her to, get past this and she doesn't want to hear it. And, learning how to communicate and get past the emotion and be successful. It was a lot. And I can't say we always did it right.
No.
But those situations that we went through during that time helped us to be better communicators now that we're on the other side.
Yeah.
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 I would agree with that. There's been a time or two where Solomon would come home and said, I need to have a conversation with mom and dad. So when I'm playing, I don't want you screaming.
Yeah.
When I'm
Yeah.
making this move, I need you to trust me because you can't see what I see
What
on
I
the
see.
field, on the court. And so we had to reevaluate that and trust his instinct. And he said he would give us, an opportunity to debrief with him later, but it was on his terms.
Yes.
And so we had to respect him as a player and respect him because this was his game, not ours.
And
So.
and that transcended over into just the natural relationship, did it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He does not move outside of himself.
Okay.
And so that is a part of his personality that we had to come to understand.
Okay.
And so when he's not getting upset in the game, but we are in the stands, it's a part of his personality and it's a part of his basketball training.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And so, again, as fans and as parents, we want to go in there and save the day, right? But he expressed to us, this is his game, and we don't see what he sees.
What he
So,
sees.
yeah.
And so I hear you saying, in a collective of all of us hearing, knowing how to give them space, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And learning unintentionally, so we're teaching them to trust their voices. It's interesting because my kid will say, Mom, I can hear you, but he tells his father, I don't hear you. He blocks
Mm-hmm.
Mark out. I mean, it's fine. At first, Mark was a little sad, and but we have collectively grown through that. Um, but he hears my voice. Dana's been to games. I mean, we have a whole sign language sometimes that and Dana's like, he talks to you, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do a signal, and I want to just take a point of personal privilege here and say, one of Belinda's daughters, Bria played at UK. Kim, you might remember when I was always at the UK games.
Yes, I recognize the name now. Yes.
This is her mother. And so,
well, yes.
Yes. So the 4 years that she was at UK, I didn't miss a game. If it was a home game, I didn't miss it unless she had a lot of people coming in, because the goal was always Bria would have somebody in the stands.
Yeah.
And a few road games I went. We traveled. We supported Bria. And I got to see firsthand, and I've said this to you, Mark and I've said this to you and Derek. We witnessed, because nobody teaches you how to do this. So watching you all really helped, like being able to block out the noise of what other parents are saying and just locking in on, that was so beneficial. And I've taken that and I try to model that now as a mom in the stand. You know what I mean? I try to model. My famous phrase is protect the brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Protect the brand, because Wheaties not gonna put us on this box if I'm out here squaring up with these parents.
Okay.
That's
I might have squared up with a few parents over there.
You know what I'm saying?
I definitely wanted to.
I might have squared up.
Yeah. So, but it's it's a real thing. So thank you all for bringing that. Here's
Jamie.
Here's a question I have for you. I want to delve into the impact that it had on the whole family. Now, Kimberly, Micaiah is your youngest one.
Mm-hmm.
You all have an older child, but the age range was such that they weren't in the house together.
That's right.
The rest of us have kind of doubled up, because even us with our eldest hauling a little 3-year-old to go, da 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 da. I want to talk about the family impact a little bit. How were you able to protect the time and the attention given to the other children, their siblings, right? Where overall there's some level of equity, right? In the season, it's about the season, right? But how did you learn to navigate those waters?
Well, we had 2 girls under Solomon, and they understood basketball like no other. But in the stands, they would bring their books or whatever series of books they were reading, and they would go through 50 to 60 books over the summer doing AAU.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
In those cities, we would always look for museums and things that culturally that they would be interested in. Sure. And so we went as a family. Maybe I would be at an event or at a museum somewhere with the girls, and then vice versa. Okay. And so we tried to create balance for them. But the expectation was when they were in season, we were all there because we were all there supporting him as well.
As a family. Belinda, you were about to chime in?
Well, yes. Well, all of our kids played, so we had to navigate and sometimes split as parents. You go with these 2 kids and, I'll stay home and go with this one. But they all understood at a very young age that we're just a sports family. We all love sports. And by Derek, again, being a coach, it was just something that, we did. It was just like waking up in the morning and breathing, or
right.
They all understood, and although they're all different and we have to parent them differently, it was just, amazing that they all supported one another and we were always together. They always knew, hey, it's going to be my turn to, especially the baby coming up. Well, we won't say baby, young
Right.
lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. How did
she always understood that that's what we do.
That's what we do. I like that. So how did then that sounds like it was, for want of a better term, quasi seamless. I'm sure there were a couple of, whew, how we gonna make it work. How did it
Yeah.
impact
Oh, yeah.
your marriages though? Did you find ways that it strengthened your marriage? Was it a stress point on your marriage? How did it show up in that relationship?
Well, for me, I don't think it showed up until after the kids had stopped playing, and I'm wondering, now, isn't it my turn? you know,
Oh, uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and he's still coaching, but me just letting him do his thing because he loves to coach. So you still, take a back seat a little bit, and hopefully one day that retirement comes. But yeah, I would say it did strain. It did more strain after he stopped coaching, and when
Interesting.
I
After
when
they
he was
start.
putting a lot more time into, other children, and so
Mhm.
I don't know if that was the right way to think, but that's what
But that's a
happened.
truth. And that can
Yeah.
help someone. Anybody else? Did it strengthen, strain, both?
Well, I would definitely say it probably strengthened a little bit because that's the one person that you can talk to about the game, your kid in the
And
game.
your player. Right,
Your
right,
player,
right,
right?
right.
So if your
Hmm.
player
Hmm.
was the MVP, you can't go and talk to your girlfriend whose kid's on the team and be like, oh, my kid did that. Oh, they were the bomb and they
Right.
deserved it. And blah 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 didn't deserve it. And you can't do that with
No.
anybody,
Right.
except your spouse. So, there was always an after huddle after the tournament or the game, where we would talk about our kids and how they did and where they were going and things like that. So I think that was helpful in terms of that communication. But yeah, after the last whistle, it's like, okay, now what do we talk about?
Right. Right. And I'm going to throw another point of conversation, but please circle back to that, ladies, if you want to add something to the space. But Dana, I want to press in where you're talking about the after huddle for athletes who always planned to do this beyond high school, right? Where that was not only the plan but the goal, right? Like, those conversations are very different internally, right? When college coaches are showing up on the sidelines and talking to your kid and you realize that, oh no, he's not talking to anybody else. It's an awkward, um you get, as they say, you start to feel some kind of way. And so having your spouse there, to and it also, because as we know, college coaches, they don't just look at the athlete, they look at the whole package,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? And
Absolutely.
so I appreciate that lens. Staying in the lane of the family impact, did your scholar athlete, because we've touched on the finances, we just glazed on that. Did your scholar athlete ever want to quit?
Wow.
Seriously quit, not just I'm mad today. I mean, like seriously wanted to quit.
Yes, absolutely. With my daughter, like I said, during the 16's year, she had a very toxic coach, and a very toxic team. And it was just really weighing on her mentally,
Mm-hmm.
her confidence, her sense of self-worth.
Yep.
And she was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this.
Mm.
And that was hard because She was very talented, and we knew that it wasn't
She
about.
is very talented, Dana.
Well, she
She is.
still is.
Yes,
Well,
she is.
I'm talking about then. I'm still in the past now. Yeah, she
Okay.
is very talented.
Okay.
But back then, back then she wasn't an All-American. She wasn't All-State. She wasn't that. She was, a sophomore who literally was getting benched over a girl who had not even any of her talent. Um, for reasons that I will just let your minds wander and go to.
Yes.
So we had to have those conversations about, you know, you can't let this season determine your purpose and your future. But it was hard. It was like, pushing a mule. 16-year-old girls are something else. And it was like pushing a mule. It
And
was
and it's helped you help others because you've poured into my kid.
right.
Again, I've learned from Dana. Dana is who taught me about making sure that my child had a sports psychologist.
And we had to take her
Okay.
to a sports psychologist
Yeah.
so that she could get her mental right.
Yeah.
Because her mental not being right kind of spilled over
Impact.
into her physical, her game.
Right.
And you can't have that. So
That's good. That's good. Anybody else in that space where your child was like, "Oh, this is not my ministry," but for whatever, obviously they stayed with it or didn't. How did you all process some of that?
I think for us, very similar to what Dana mentioned, being not on the best team that fits your child's personality or is equitable across
Okay. Hmm.
across playing time, and not in terms of everybody has to play. It's talent should rise to the top, and so we found ourselves in situations like that where he was like, I don't know if this is a good team for me, but we also instill you don't quit, and so trying to strike that balance.
Yeah.
Do we step in as parents and
Yeah.
take you out of this situation?
Yeah.
Or do we allow you to complete the process? And so, what we found in those situations, well, two of those situations was he was dealing with adults and adults making decisions. And
Yeah.
so, he wasn't equipped to make some of those decisions. His parents were. And
Right.
so we stepped in and removed him because it just didn't align with who we were as a family and what we saw happening on the court.
That's good.
So
And I think I think the athletes really, really, really need that. I think we teach them to advocate for themselves, right? And when that's not working, then you call in the big guns, and we will advocate for you. I know we've had conversations with our own that if you don't touch another ball for the rest of your life,
quite all
we are
right.
still going to vacation on Martha's Vineyard. We are still going to eat steak. I am still going to be fabulous. So it's not like you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? What we have said is you're not pulling us out of the hood, right? If anything, all the money we keep putting in it, you're gonna push us to the hood because we have sports, we have sports psychologists, we have multiple trainers. I mean, a vertical coach, a ball handling coach, a skills and drills coach, you know what I mean? Just I'm like, hell,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
y'all
Oh
know,
yeah.
it's just all the
All
all of
things.
all of the things, and let's not even get into the media component. The Can I do a reel for your child? Can I do a highlight video? And I'm like, sure, yeah, that'd be great. A highlight video is all of 42 seconds. And they're like, yeah, that'd be $8,012. I'm like, what?
Yep. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, so just all of the investment that goes into it. I love hearing that. So how then have you, because you're on the other side, when you look back, where do you think you did well in helping your scholar athletes strike a balance? And what's an area still that you look back, you're like, oh, I wish I would have done that. Not I wish I would have done that, because I don't like that language. What's something that you look back on and say, knowing what I know now, I would do X differently.
I think for us, it was really about building his foundation. And when we found that that wasn't set, because we were just like, oh, roll our kid out. He can play ball and everybody's on the same level and it's great, and that wasn't necessarily the case.
Right.
He kept getting cut. And so we said, okay, well, just like we do everything else in our house, we build a foundation. And so we start building very slowly, to the point where, he was the, all Ohio and all, state runner up and all the things basketball in the Columbus area. But it was really about building the foundation. And we see that play out, not just with basketball, but in his life and in his siblings' lives, just a strong foundation. So that is something that I don't regret. The thing that I did not understand going into this space was everyone who has the name coach or the title coach, it doesn't mean they understand the game, and it doesn't mean that they know how to rally a team and build a team and strengthen a team. And so I would really check a coach's credentials to see if he just rolled the ball out and he's a coach, or has he put the work in himself?
That's good. That's good. All right. All right. I'm gonna hit everybody on this because these are the nuggets that we're leaving with our audience. Who has next?
I would say what I learned in watching her, again, when we were talking about watching her build her confidence, is listening to her. And we've kind of touched on that as we've talked, learning how to communicate with her. Because as I've watched her through this process, and she still is this way, she is her own worst critic. And she can be very hard on herself when she doesn't do something perfectly. So if she's playing and is messed up, the dad, is, you should have done this and you didn't, like when you watch them in sports kind of a thing. And I was like, you can't say that to her. Like, don't do that. Let's just encourage her and tell her it'll get better. You have to learn how to communicate with her better so that she doesn't get crushed. And so then when she had that kind of, it's okay it's okay to mess up, or it's okay that you didn't do well. So then when she got to high school, more so her senior year, I guess, when she had a coach that I don't know what his issue was, and I did a whole lot of, you want to handle that or me? I really wish there are times when I wish I could go back and handle that.
Yeah.
Then but I thought that might be more devastating to her if I did than if she handled it herself. So, he would put her in at the last point, or it was just, I don't know what he was doing. It was very odd because she'd always done great. I don't know what this man was doing. But listening to her and letting her work through that and not going like I wanted to. How about that?
I got it. I got it. All right.
But I guess I wish I would have. I was trying to encourage her to go say something she didn't, and I kind of, I don't know, sometimes feel like I maybe should have pushed that a little bit more.
Oh, okay. So yours is like one and the same. There are areas where you feel like you affirmed and listened to her and heard her, and areas where you're like, I wish I would have had her push her voice just a little bit more.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Belinda, Dana?
Well, one of the things that I wish I had done or advised my youngest on is to not play for the top team. I know that sounds crazy, but the top team in her program got all the perks. They did this. I mean, she had worked all these years. I mean, she started playing traveling when she's second grade. So she worked very hard, but the top team didn't suit her because the coach had his favorites and never acknowledged her, never, built her up. But I felt that, you deserve to be there, So then playing for another team in the same program. So she didn't necessarily have to play with that that top team, but she deserved it. But it also didn't help her self-esteem. It didn't, because the coach played favorites.
That's right.
And so it did more damage to her. So I wish I had encouraged her, like, look, you don't have to play for this top team, although you deserve it. You
Right.
go somewhere where you
Right.
can flourish and be happy. And because it was horrible for her. So
That's right.
that's the one thing I regret.
What I hear you saying in that is going back to what we said earlier about what's the real cost. Like,
Yeah.
what does it really cost to play on the team? It's more than just whatever the fees are, if there were fees, right? It's more than just
Right.
the hotel. It's
Yeah.
it's the cost to what it does to them, right? So that's
Yeah.
good. Thank you for that. Dana, what say you?
So I think the first thing is I'm really happy with how my children developed through this process. I think I talked earlier about learning those intangibles that help them to be better adults. I mean, they were exposed to a lot of adult situations at young ages that I sometimes felt very uncomfortable with. Having to advocate for yourself with other adults, having to handle politics when you're 14, 15. But I could see how that's benefited them now. One of the most wonderful things that feedback that I've gotten about my kids from other coaches and sports casters who've interviewed my daughter is how wonderful they are as people. Basketball is can be pretty toxic in terms of just on the court politics. And one of the things that many refs have come up to me to say after is that my son is such a nice young man.
Yeah.
So that makes me feel like, okay, we did something right. What I wish I had done better through the whole process, looking back, is I wish I had just been more knowledgeable about what we were getting into. When we start, I put my kids in sports just to keep them busy.
Yeah.
Not
And boy, howdy. Okay.
not understanding, not thinking scholarship, not thinking college. I'm like, look, I just need to get the energy out of these kids. And as they begin to excel in their sports and started to get shuffled into what I call the college pathway, the scholarship pathway, I just didn't understand everything that went through it. Um, I'm more knowledgeable now about it on the backside, but what does it mean if your kid is undersized? What do you mean if your kid's on a team and they're not the favorite and they're getting pushed into, pushed away from being in front of the college coaches? What does it mean to go to these camps? Are they really inviting your kid?
And what's the difference between an invite and an informational camp? I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
When we talk about football and stars, well, how do you get a star?
Yeah.
I mean, the first star is your height. I mean, if you're not a certain height, that's a star you don't get.
You don't get it.
Who make these
Right.
decisions? Where do you go to get these decisions made
Right.
about you? What is Division I, Division II, Division III? What does that mean?
Right.
I just
What is this mysterious fifth year? What is that? Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Uh-huh.
There's so many things that we didn't understand until it's too late. And so sometimes I feel like I didn't put my kids in the right position to be as successful in their college search as they wanted to. But they are where they're supposed to be.
Sure. And you're saying all of us are saying this with no regrets, right? This is not this is just a right. When you know better, you do better. And what we're
Right.
sharing is these are things that you would do better. And so to our listeners, we say make sure that you are advocating for and training your child on how to advocate for themselves. We want to say make sure you're building a solid foundation. If your child needs external coaching, go get it. It is accessible. And don't be committed to a program or a coach that's not beneficial to your child. It's okay to
Yes.
walk away. Learn all the aspects of the game. The game is not just inside the lines and on the court. The game is showing up, knowing how to communicate with adults, knowing how to help a player up from the opposing team because refs see that, right?
Mhm.
You know, learn all the aspects of the game and make sure that your child, your scholar athlete, is with a program that everybody has a vested interest in anything that they do, but that your child is not getting lost in the shuffle and considered chattel.
Yeah.
Did I sum it up pretty good for
You
us?
did. You
Oh
did.
yeah.
Very much
That,
so.
that
Excellent.
exactly.
Well, to our listeners, we say thank you so much for joining us tonight. We hope that you are leaving with some type of nugget, something you laughed about, something to make you think. If you have any questions, throw it in the chat whenever you get to see this. We'll be happy to answer those for you. We're going to log off here and we say, be well, beloveds.